Hello, guys. This is a review of two horror classics from different times. We have Us and we have Candyman. It's been a long time since I reviewed movies, but I have been watching new ones day after day, and I just let them pile up because I'm too lazy to work on the background that I usually have in my videos. So I'm trying this out. This is a lot more simple, just turning the chair and opening the store. So, like I said, it's been a while. So I don't have all the details fresh in my mind. However, I could give a very brief summary of the plot, and then I'll get into my opinions about the films, because my opinions is what I have, solid in my brain. It hasn't been like years since I watched them, I promise. Let's get started with Candyman. And obviously I'm bundling them up even though they're not really related to each other much. Like, even if they're remotely related, I'm like, okay, let's just do them so we could get these movies out of the way. Not in a bad way, I really enjoyed them, but you know what I mean, so I could get on to new ones that I more recently watched. Candyman. Let's start with this one. This one follows the story of a college student. She's working on a project revolving around urban legends, and obviously Candyman is a very famous one where she's from. She doesn't believe it in the slightest. She thinks it's a hoax. It's just, word of mouth, is that how you say it? That has been going around from person to person. But then eventually he shows up after she does a chant, the Candyman, Candyman in front of the mirror chant. But by then it's too late. Near the end of the film, he reveals that she is a reincarnation of the white woman he fell in love with, and that basically caused him to get murdered, because back then it wasn't acceptable for that to happen. Ah, Candyman. My opinions about the film. I thought that it was a really good film. Sadly, I couldn't find it with Spanish subtitles, so my mom could watch it with me. But I did enjoy it a lot. I did feel like it's a bit outdated. For sure, it shows. However, the build up, I think like the turning point for me where it started getting a little bit less awesome and a little more predictable was when he reveals himself for the first time, if I'm not mistaken, like in physical form, to the college student that I mentioned earlier. They're in a parking lot, and he finally, stands up face to face and says, "I'm here, I've come for you." He has this little hook and it's full of bees. And from that moment on, I feel like it took a turn, because the build up, as I was saying earlier, the build up was just amazing. I feel like, at what moment is he gonna, pop up out of nowhere? And what this movie has that I wish a lot more horror movies had, modern ones, is the focus on the atmosphere, the eerie music, but without having so many shock scares. This one doesn't rely on that. It has that, like, okay, she's leaning in towards the mirror, but what's gonna happen? Oh, we don't know. And then nothing happens, so you're like, ah, thank goodness. And then you go on to the next scene, and they hype it up. They have another, sub theme going on there with other characters, and then it gets crazy, but then nobody jumps up to the screen to scare you. So I appreciate that, because it means that for a movie like this to be scary, it means that they had to have taken, I mean, Candyman is an adaptation in itself, but I don't know. Original, I feel, always wins, and I'm not referring specifically to the sequel remake. I'm not sure. I haven't watched it. That's why I can't really give my opinion on the new Candyman. But this one, I think it still stands strong. Not as strong as other classic horror movies, because, like I said, I feel like it was missing a few things. That it did a lot of things right, but it also failed on some things. I'm trying to remember if I could give a specific example. I mean, it has some pretty gory scenes near the end. That's not what it's missing. Uh, I don't know. I feel like maybe it went too much, into the story, too much into the whole mystery aspect. And for a movie like this, with such a recognizable villain as Candyman is, I feel like it could have had, sorry, a bit more of a stalker, in your face slasher type of thing. So in a way, I appreciate the build up, but then once it got to the real, like, okay, go chase after those girls, it didn't really live up to that. It went kind of stale. But if the beginning got you, then I feel like, as it did with me, you're gonna rate it high, um, just the same. And if you got to watch it when it originally came out, then of course I'm pretty sure it's gonna hold. Like, if you like horror movies in general, it's gonna live in a very special place in your heart. I know. I'm not forgetting this one for sure, and I'm really interested in watching the remake. Let's fast forward to Us. Like I said, a completely different time. It's the first time I just watched this one not too long ago, as opposed to this one that I watched like a couple of months ago. This one I just watched last week, and I did get a chance to watch the creator's other the other film by of this creator. Blah, I can't talk. Anyway, Jordan's other movie called Get Out, and I did not like that movie. This isn't a review of that movie, clearly, but I just want to mention that it was very like uncomfortable to watch that movie, not in a good way. Horror movies sometimes are like, oh, it's a gross. It's like, no, it's not that. It was just kind of uncomfortable, not in a very horror-ish, effective type of way, in my opinion. It was a bit boring at times as well. I think it's a good one-time watch. Don't get me wrong. I can't say too many bad things about it. It's just that for me personally, and I've said this time and time again, I am not a professional critic. This is a very amateur thing at best. I'm just giving my personal opinion. So I could give you a general rating of the movies, but that's not what I do. I give a personal rating. Get Out, um, I don't know, left the I don't want to say a bad taste in my mouth, but it just really didn't really get me, you know, very invested in wanting to purchase other works of his. However, of Jordan, I'm speaking again, Jordan Peele, I believe is how you pronounce his last name. I received this as a gift, probably a year ago, and I just got to watching it. Like I said, it's awesome. It follows the story of a young woman. She's married, has two kids, and the movie introduces us, like, the very beginning, to this little girl that then grows up into the woman whose life we follow. And she's visiting at this beach with a fair going on, and the mirror house. She goes in and she sees her doppelganger, like this exact clone of herself. I don't want to spoil it, but I mean, obviously, spoilers ahead. So that clone that she sees there, that is not her reflection, obviously. I thought at first killed her, but didn't kill her. Chokes her and takes her place and returns with her family. And then later on in this movie, I don't know if you could see these people. These are the exact clones of, obviously that's what clone means, of the family that I just mentioned. Now the little girl is all grown up, and we think that that's a good one, but she's not the good one. And this isn't making any sense, but that's just what the movie is. That's what it's about. Eventually, we come to find that those clones are a failed government experiment, and like, since it failed, they just kind of left them there, I guess, to die. But they didn't die because they survived on rabbit meat for as long as they did. However, the young girl that got choked out and whose life was, flipped upside down, the other clones down there in the secret fair place, they realized that she was different, so she started training them, incapacitating them to eventually reclaim, a place in society as the other humans have. And well, that's basically what it's about. So in the end, it's revealed, like, the whole, plot twist is that the woman, the mother that we were rooting for from the beginning, was not really the original little girl that we see. And let me tell you, Us is not the type of film that I would like to watch over and over and over again. However, it's amazing. So I know that it might sound like contradictory, but it is just like, it's so kind of like uncomfortable, as I mentioned with Candyman, but uncomfortable in a very good way. They did almost everything right. I enjoyed every bit of it. It has the regular scares, not too many of the oh like boo in your face type. It's more of like, dude, like this is real life. This could happen. Up until the whole failed government, and even that, like we never know. Like I'm not here to say it is or it isn't. I don't know. I'm just a regular civilian here. But it's crazy. It's so effective. When I go out sometimes, when I'm at my mom's house, she has a dog, and I walk the dog out to pee. I see it. I see the grass. I see the trees. As most people in a city like the one I live in the United States, we have this exact scenery. So it's something that you can relate to immediately. Like you walk out the door and you see similar things. Um, if not, then you walk a couple of blocks and you'll see these type of neighborhoods. And to have a family of strangers staring right through your soul so late at night, it's so unsettling and so creepy. Like I said, effective is a word. This movie is just so effective, and then the more we learn about it, it's so interesting. I kept, as I watched the movie, thinking, well, eventually, it's gonna take a very boring turn. These movies tend to do that, and I'm gonna become uninvested in the characters' lives, and I'm not gonna care for them. But the more I watched it, the more I cared for them, no matter what the personalities were like. For example, I felt like the little boy here, um, he reminded me of me physically, even though his attitude was kind of like um rubbish. I'm like, dude, like say something, do something, be more effective. But then he has, trouble socializing, so I relate to that aspect of him. Then the big sister is like, I don't know, like it's just like I could see it with my family, I could see it with myself, I could see these people, even if I don't always agree with what they're saying. For example, the husband at first is just not listening. I mean, he's listening to the wife, but listening is like, why are you so traumatized of this beach? Like nothing's gonna happen out here, you're gonna be okay. It's just, in the past. And I'm like, in real life, I would have been so upset if they didn't believe me. And I'm telling them, like, could we go home? I already made such a huge leap by actually accepting to come over here. You can't do this one thing for me. Let's just go back. Let's go to a beach in Mexico. You know what I'm saying? Let's just go anywhere else. There's like so many places that we could vacation at. But whew, like I said, and I don't, you could probably feel it from this review that I was invested. I related to these characters and I wanted them to survive, and I felt like this is something that could really happen no matter how crazy it got. It was so believable and so beautiful. The ballet recreations while the clone and the mother fought, that was beautiful and so creepy. And from the very beginning, when they start playing the creepy music, I was like, and then I quickly googled it just to know, like, what they were called. And the clones are called Tethered, because I watched this movie dubbed in Spanish, so I didn't really know how the translation was going to work, but it's Tethered, so that's how I'm going to refer to them. And I looked at the Wikipedia page, and it said that critics were praising the musical score, and they did a very good job at that. I agree 100%, because it was on point. um from the moment I remember, from the first moment that we see the full family staring into the guy, the dad holding the bat, the music, I was like, the music is getting me. It's getting me. It's like reminding me of like Jeepers Creepers, which has another amazing musical score. And I'm very biased because it's my favorite movie. But as I was saying, it's just amazing. I feel like my mind was racing, 100 miles per hour. Like I had so many thoughts as I was watching the film, but not being distracted by my own thoughts to enjoy what was happening in the present. Um, and these are the type of movies that uh, I could say that I love, because I love so many like different types of movies, but I also love these that get me thinking. When the movie was over, I'm not the type of person that like, I can't sleep, turn on the light, or like come with me to the bathroom. I'm not that type of person. I could handle my horror movies. I've been at this for a very long time. But it did get me thinking, before falling asleep. Then when I woke up, then when I was like grocery shopping, I was remembering about the film, and I was thinking as I was driving to work. So I have nothing to say but good things, about the film. I think they did amazing. Everybody involved did amazing. It was well written, well executed. Everything was so great. The actors, I forgot that this was Lupita Nyong'o. I didn't know that it was her. I knew that it was her when it came out because obviously they, the posters and everything and all the press that they did. But like I said, I didn't watch it when it came out, so I totally forgot that it was her, and I didn't recognize her because I haven't seen much of her work, even though I know that she's, obviously very famous, Academy Award nominated, if not winner. But not just her, everybody did an amazing job. Like I said, I'm repeating myself over and over, so I'm just gonna end this here. But so pleasantly surprised. Am I excited enough to watch Nope? Nope. And if for those of you that don't know, Nope is the next Jordan movie that's out in theaters right now. That one just looks way too boring. This one, even though I was adamant, about watching it, I was still kind of like, well, maybe, Us seems a little bit weird. That, Get Out was not that weird. It was just kind of like just people being a-holes. It's like, it is what it is. It's true. And I mean, not to that degree, I hope, I mean, we could have like one or two cases every now and then, but hopefully not everybody thinks like that. But Us, I felt like it was okay. I see, the scissors. It was like one of the main posters. I was like, are we gonna have some stabbing? I'm kind of interested in that. Whew. But anyway, yeah. So Candyman, I'm gonna go ahead and give it a rating of 7 out of 10, maybe 7.5 out of 10 in its category. But I'm gonna go more with a 7 out of 10. And then for Us, I'm gonna go ahead and give it a 10 out of 10 in its category, strictly in its category. Like I said, personally, I wouldn't want to watch it. Oops, I wouldn't want to watch it like over and over and over and over again because it's so effective and so like makes me feel so It's like so many things happen. And if I'm not mistaken, it also has the actress from The Invisible Man, a movie that if I'm not mistaken again, I haven't reviewed, and I really enjoyed it. But everybody, let's just get to the review because I'm just rambling on. 10 out of 10, like I said. Nothing else to add. I mean, there's a million more things to add, but it was just be me repeating and praising it over and over and over again. I think you get the point. So that's it for this one. Thank you for watching.